What's up, guys, and welcome back to my garage. If you're enjoying this series, make sure to leave a like on the video. It would be greatly appreciated. In the last episode, for reasons that are still unclear even to me, I decided to bring home this free Toyota Supra shell with the goal of reconstructing it using only junkyard Supras. And about 3/4 of the way through it, I realized that that was going to take way too long, so we've sort of pivoted now to where 100% of the body of the vehicle has been, okay, minus this one quarter panel, 95% of the body of the vehicle has been supplied by junkyard Supras. And so today we're going to complete the underside of the vehicle, all the suspension and everything like that. And then we're also going to be swapping in a BMW engine into that bad boy Billy rather than the standard 2JZ that it would have come with. It's going to be a little bit like how the newer Supras are produced, right? Where the body is manufactured by Toyota, where the drivetrain is manufactured by BMW, or at least that's the way I understand it. But before we get started on that, we still have so many spare body parts and spare parts in general that we just simply don't need. So I'm gonna head on over to the store. We're gonna buy the big boy trailer and the big enclosure deal over here. Hopefully they're not super expensive. 3,900 bucks, we can swing that. I think we can swing that. So there she is. And then we need this for 950 bucks. Pretty doable. But the reason that we need that is because we have so many parts and they're so large that we just can't use only the truck to go sell them. We kind of need something like this. And honestly, it's about time. So I think this just goes right on top of here. I bought the wrong trailer. Oh God, I bought the wrong trailer, dude. We should have bought this thing. You didn't see anything, all right? I don't make mistakes, plain and simple. It doesn't happen. That's crazy talk. And I definitely didn't just spend the last 30 minutes trying to get through that intro. That never happens. There it is. All right, beautiful. I think we probably wanted to take off the side panels first, but it should be fine. I don't remember actually how to use the trailer. Okay, we can pick it up, and then we'll just bring it to the truck. Kind of a backwards way to do this. We don't even have a trailer hitch. How did we buy a truck without a trailer hitch? I wonder if Dude Bro in here sells them. I highly doubt it. I sort of feel like we probably would have seen that before.
Hey,
what's going on?
Do you wear the same clothes every day, or do you have, like, a lot of the same matching set?
I sure do. I feel a bit targeted because sometimes, IRL, sometimes I do wear at least the same shirt 2 days in a row. Is that gross? That's not that gross, right? I don't see one in here, so it looks like we're gonna have to go back to the catalog. Or wait. He's got one in here. I just need a hitch. Turns out that's not what it's called. Okay. I am just having a heck of a time today. But there we go. 91 bucks. It is Monday. After all, I can cut myself a little bit of slack. Or Monday for you guys. Unfortunately, it's Friday for me, so I should be a little bit more locked in than this, but that's all right. Okay, so we've got to drop our wrench. And then make sure we're tightening. Get that sucker tightened on there. Drop the wrench one mo again, as they say. Put it back in the backpack. And now we can get our trailer connected to the truck. Beautiful. Probably should have upgraded the rear leaf springs to a little bit heavier duty situation, but we'll be fine. We're not even going that far anyways. Let's get this sucker loaded up. And we'll see if we can bring at least some of this down to scapegoat. I'm just going to leave the side panel things on there. Should be fine. But scapegoat has already opened for the day. I believe he opens at 8 a.m. and he closes at around noon. So we're probably not going to be able to sell all of this stuff, but hopefully a good majority of it. I should have taken the side panels off. Oh my God. I have successfully removed the floor from the trailer, which is not what I wanted to do. Okay, you can take them off by hand. All right, I'm gonna get that put back up on there. We'll get the wrench out again, get those bolts tightened up. Yeah, we're not even gonna be able to sell anything to Scapegoat at this point, dude. This is bad. Okay, I think that's everything now loaded up, apart from one mirror. I believe it was the passenger side mirror. It was connected to one of those old door panels still. So I did decide to take that off. One less thing that we're gonna have to purchase via the catalog. So we're gonna... Oh, I thought I dropped something already. We're gonna take this big rig down the road here, and hopefully we'll have just enough time to get all this stuff sold. It would be really nice to, you know, get some of that money that we had to spend on the junkyard Supras back in our back pocket again. He's gonna be open for about an hour and a half. We're gonna try to make this happen.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Honestly, that went better than I expected. We made $2,100 from just one of those 2JZ engines that we had. The other one was not as nice, so I don't even remember how much we got for that one, but it wasn't anything to write home about. So, with that now taken care of and a little bit of time to spare yet, we're gonna head back to the garage, get our brand spanking new trailer parked up, but we've got 18 grand chilling in the back pocket, which will definitely come in handy for all of those suspension components that we're gonna have to purchase. Uh-oh. Okay, so there's a slight problem here. We might not be able to do the BMW engine swap. I have the Supra inputted into the catalog, and the i6R, which should be that BMW engine we have in our E36. Under the engine category, there's options, but there's no actual engine components here. We have a gas tank and some NOS and a rear radiator, which is cool. We could do a rear radiator setup. I guess that's neat, and stuff and things or whatever, but this totally spoils my plan. Also, I did get that. It was a driver's side mirror. I did get that installed, so we're only missing the passenger side now. You know what I'm gonna try to do? Let me get our wrench here, and I'm gonna unbolt both the engine and transmission from our E36, and we'll just see if we could even drop it into this chassis. Hopefully we can. All right, we're gonna try out the transmission first. Check mark is a good sign. Looks like it fits in there relatively well. I'm not super sure what we're gonna be able to do for a transmission mount, because that's kind of just floating in there at the moment, but let's try out the engine. Please work, please work, please work, please work. Okay, it seems like it probably will work if... Hang on, let me move the transmission out of there, actually. If we have a transmission mount, I'm assuming that'll be fixed a little bit better in there. But let's try just the engine. That works. Well, can we bolt it in, though? And then if I hit I, it's got a 3-liter straight 6. Okay, it's official. We can do it. However, when we're looking for parts in the catalog, I don't think we're going to have Supra as the car that we're working on. We'll probably just change that to the Rat, honestly. That way we know for sure we can get everything. I don't know, where would the transmission mount be, though? Like, what category? Maybe we could just undo this one, and it might work. Maybe this is the vehicle that I was thinking of that shares a lot of parts with the Rat. I think I mentioned that last time when we were at the junkyard. It would be so much easier to do all this if the vehicle was, I don't know, in the air. That does not appear to mount to this. But we tried. We'll figure something else out. I've got to get unstuck here. But cool. that's great news. I definitely don't want to use this engine. It's mint condition. It hardly has any miles on it whatsoever. So we'll get this thing reassembled, make sure all the fluids and everything like that are good to go, and then we can start. Let's actually do the suspension components on the Supra first, and then we'll do the engine. Ladies and gentlemen, our Rat Rod Supra is actually starting to look like a car. It's really taken shape. There's a couple of weird things that I just want to go over with you guys real quick, and there are a few things that I forgot to do, like the glass in the door, the tail lights, I guess, have a glass cover that's supposed to go over them, so I made sure to get that. And then I swapped out our original headlights for these halo headlights. I don't think I did bulbs, so I'm gonna have to make sure to remind myself to do that later. But something that I found to be kind of weird is the upper control arms in the rear definitely have a bucket for springs to sit inside of, but you'll notice up here we have the spring around the shock absorber for some reason. I guess it's not that strange. That suspension style definitely exists, but if there's a bucket in the upper control arm, you would think that's where the spring is supposed to go. And then this doesn't appear to mount to anything. That like rear knuckle, there's definitely a spot for something to be mounted, but I couldn't find anything to mount to it. And then this arm right here, it said that it was an upper control arm F. And I guess what they meant by that is it's an upper control arm that mounts in the front of the rear subframe. It didn't really make much sense to me either. I even had to go back and look at both this E36 and our Rally E36 just to make sure that I did everything correctly on these. And it seems like we did. Oh, that's where the rear shock absorber should go. And then for this vehicle, the spring is actually in the spring bucket on that upper control arm. That makes sense. That does make sense. So since we're essentially using all the suspension components for a different vehicle on this vehicle, that's probably why things look a little weird. Definitely seems a little weird. I do have a differential in there. It's just the stock or like factory differential. I didn't want to do anything super crazy. But I do want to try to run this thing on the drag strip, so we may end up changing that out. I guess time will tell. Oh, and then something else. I had to roll the vehicle forward just so we could get it on the hoist so I could do the rest of the suspension stuff, mainly the differential. And it was only after I installed all 4 wheels that I realized I forgot to do the brakes. So we're going to have to do that here momentarily as well. Shouldn't take too terribly long though. But now I think we're finally ready to start building this engine. So we're going to go through the catalog together and try to pick out some like performance parts for this engine, if those even exist. I don't remember if we did any performance parts, maybe just like fuel stuff on our factory, like base model E36 over there. E36 M3, I guess it's not a base model at all. So we're gonna need a fuel line. We're obviously gonna need the main power wires as well. Clutch plate, clutch pressure plate, flywheel. Spark plugs I'm gonna hold off on because we might be able to get some performance version of those. Engine fan. Gas tank we don't need because this vehicle has a different gas tank. We don't need the... Why are the wipers under the engine category? Okay, that's kind of strange. Water pump we're for sure going to want. Air filter I'm also going to hold off on because I don't know if there's a performance air box or anything like that. Alternator belt, obviously. The alternator. Camshafts also going to hold off on. Engine trim... I think there's only one of those, so I'm going to go ahead and cop that. Crankshaft, again, we're going to hold off. Crankshaft pulley, for sure. block, another thing we're going to hold off on until we get to the end of this list. Same with the cylinder head up there. The cover, we can just cop one of those. The exhaust header and exhaust manifold. There probably aren't performance versions of those. There might be a performance fuel pump too. We should have just started at the bottom and worked our way up, dang it. Gearbox, I think the only one available for this engine is the 5-speed, so we'll get that. Head gasket, of course, we're going to want ignition stuff. I believe there's performance versions of that and the injectors. Intake manifold we'll come back to. Oil filter, oil pan. We've got the stock pistons here. Starter we can get. Throttle we'll come back to. We need timing chains, timing cover. Exhaust. We've got exhaust. Oh, dude, I didn't even think about this because the rear bumper has 2 exhaust cutouts, but since it's a straight 6, we're only going to have 1 exhaust. So hopefully we can find a good one for that. We're going to need 6 high horsepower pistons. Oh no, there's an aftermarket lightweight flywheel and I already bought the factory one. That's okay. We'll spend a little bit of extra money. Not that big of a deal. We've got the horsepower injection system right there. A racing clutch. Forgot about that. Don't really care about the paintable fan. And then we just need 6 high horsepower injectors. Back up to the top of the list. Sparkulator plugs. I know we can get a performance version at the shop. I don't know if the gas station sells those or not. I suppose we can probably check. It's not going to hurt. Didn't see a performance air filter, so we're going to get that factory air filter box. Didn't see any horsepower or higher horsepower camshafts, so we'll cop those. Same with the crank. Didn't see a different block, so we'll get that. Didn't see a different head. Exhaust, there is only one version of that. There's only one fuel pump as well, and fuel rail. Ooh, we should see if we could paint a couple of these parts. That might be kind of cool. And then we've got the high horsepower injectors, so we just need the intake manifold. Did I forget anything? Seems like we're good. Throttle body, only one of those. And I believe that's everything, minus the exhaust. We'll come back to the exhaust. Who knows? Maybe we'll just end up running open headers. It's probably going to sound really bad, but now that we have all of our engine components, we can start assembling this thing. So I'll just put the bare block here on our engine stand, and we'll get after it. This is going to take a good while, and then I still got to do the brakes and everything like that. We'll have to do all the fluids, and we can finally take this thing out for a rip. Oh, and really quick, we're going to head across the street to see if they have performance sparkler plugs over here. They do not. But you might have noticed we have a new NPC over here. Ma'am, she's changed her outfit on me twice already. She does not speak. You can't interact with her in any way, shape, or form, but she's just standing in here. It does kind of make the gas station feel a little bit less lonely, which I guess is nice. But we're going to have to go over to the performance, or not performance parts store, but just parts store to get the performance sparkulator plugs. 3 quarts of oil, 2 gallons of coolant, and 2 liters of brake fluid later, it's done. It is finally done. Now, there's a couple more things that I need to talk through with you guys real quick. First of all, another weird thing that I forgot to mention earlier is these wheels, the factory Supra wheels, for whatever reason, are 6 lug, even though the hubs themselves are only 5 lug. You can see I, of course, resprayed our our calipers red because red equals fast. We all know that. And then even though we have like this engine dress up plate, if you will, I did decide to respray our valve cover red because equals fast. And then same thing with our fuel rail and also our fuel filter right down yonder. Those are the only things that I decided to respray, but I think it looks pretty dang good in the engine bay here, if I'm being honest. Now, the radiator was a little weird. This is the one that the Rat uses, or the E36 uses. I really wanted to try to use this aluminum one because it's just nice and shiny and looks good, but it unfortunately didn't fit. Now, we could have gone with the rear radiator setup, but then I would have had to take out probably the rear seats, the rear carpet, and the glass would have to come out. There's like a whole little cover that needs to go there, and I didn't want to deal with that. So I've been seeing more and more of you saying lately that you're having a hard time filling engines or radiators with fluid, or maybe even the brake master cylinder as well. I would recommend getting the funnel. And if that doesn't help you, for this particular engine, for example, you kind of, for the engine oil, you kind of have to just get on top of the engine sometimes in order to fill it up. Hopefully that'll help you out, but I would definitely recommend this funnel. That has saved me so many times. Which brings me to the last thing I want to talk about, the exhaust. We only had two options since this engine came from the Rat. We only had two possible Rat exhausts. So this is the shorter one, and I chose that one because the other one hangs out a little bit further, and it just doesn't line up with the exhaust cutouts in the rear bumper. So this one kind of out of sight, out of mind. But I have yet to turn this sucker over. Or wait, I'm sorry, what? Is the engine too tall? It's too tall to the point where the hood won't even shut. Oh, that looks horrible. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, I could take the hood off, but it's fine. It's fine. The other weird thing, I actually need this open. We've got a Bluetooth steering input shaft. You can see this is where the shaft would go onto the steering rack down there. It does turn. I did hop in just to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. If I leave the wheel turned like this, the front wheels do turn. So we've got a good old-fashioned Bluetooth steering input shaft now, which is just amazing. But does it turn over? Will it run? We have just enough fuel to maybe, fingers crossed, make it over to the gas station. And our ignition is right here, so let's see. So far, so good. Sounds decent. I can see since our hood is basically still popped, I can see our fan spinning up there, which is good. Let's throw her in reverse Terry. It's moving. Again, so far so good. We don't have a ton of fuel though, so I do have to be kind of quick about this. Ooh, okay. The performance upgrades to the BMW engine were well worth it, I'd say. It sounds good. It feels good so far. We're gonna rip the old e-brake again. Should probably shut her off, you know, safety first. We're gonna get this thing fueled up real quick like. This is kind of weird. You have to pop the door open and then remove the cap. I don't think there should be a cap if there's a door, but anywho, we're gonna fill this up and take it out to the drag strip and see what this bad... Really? We're gonna see what this bad boy can do. How much fuel can this thing possibly hold? Dude! We've racked up a $213 bill here for fuel. I'm gonna call that good. That's probably plenty. I mean, this fuel tank must be absolutely massive. I mean, it's big, but that's crazy. Okay, to the drag strip. Did I put diesel? No, that's gasoline. What the heck is going on? It won't start. After adding that much fuel, it just simply will not start. You've got to be kidding me. Dude. You have got to be kidding me. How could just fuel make it so it doesn't start? Every single component on this vehicle, minus the body panels, of course, we got those from a junkyard, from like 3 junkyard Supras, but every single engine component on the vehicle is brand new. We put gasoline in a gasoline engine and now it just won't start. And on that complete and total disappointment, that is where we're going to have to wind things down at for today. Once again, if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, leave a comment, help support the dream by smashing that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace.